A Childcare-Daycare Guide 1. Childcare Introduction. This book was created both as a childcare guide for parents and as a job guide for people looking for childcare, au pair, babysitting, and nanny jobs. The information and resources apply to both groups. National Association of Family Child Care. 800-359-3817. nafcc.org. National Association for the Education of Young Children. 800-424-2460. naec.org. Chapter 1. Childcare Guide. Childcare Options/Daycare Ideas. In general, before you hire someone to care for your child/children, talk/interview them face-to-face or over the phone to get a feel for essence, what type of person they are. Does she have a nurturing spirit? Experience with children in general. Education in life and in dealing with children including first aid and safety courses. Enthusiasm about life and children. The basic childcare options are: au pair. An au pair is generally a young girl from a foreign country with basic scant childcare education who works as a nanny of sorts, but it's understood that she's just doing this as a temporary way station on the road of life, not as a career, partially to learn about a new culture while earning some money. Foreign au pairs who enter United States get a J visa which allows them to stay and work for 13 months. They live with the host family, get room and board and a modest paycheck. Generally, they don't work more than 45 hours a week. Baby nurse. A baby nurse is a licensed nurse in any of the several categories with a pediatric background. She has been trained to care for newborns, knows emergency medical procedures and teaches parents how to take care of the child. They don't do housework. Babysitter. A babysitter could be a friend, relative, or person you hire in your area to watch your kids here and there when and as required, sometimes while you work, sometimes while you go out at night. If your church has a bulletin board, put a help wanted sign there or network with your religious friends to find a good teenage girl or boy to babysit for you. Put up an ad on a bulletin board at your local college, preferably either at the nursing school or religious studies school. Babysitting co-op. This is where you and several other local parents who have babies take turns helping each other by babysitting for each other. Doula. A doula helps both the mother and baby adjust to normal life after childbirth. She's part nurse, part teacher, part housekeeper, and part friend. Governess. A governess generally has a degree from college which puts her one step above a nanny. Governesses are generally hired by a family for the full or part-time education of children at home, a form of homeschooling some wealthy families prefer to use rather than private or public school. She gets more pay than a nanny. Housekeeper. A housekeeper does housework. She's not specifically responsible for the children except to clean and cook meals. Nanny, either live-in or live-out person who works full-time with only the domestic tasks of raising children, not responsible specifically for education. It's wise to ask a nanny if she's been inoculated for the basic diseases like TB and polio, and if not, ask her to get them done or pay for it yourself. If you work with several or more women raising children, you might be able to convince your boss to set up an on-site daycare center. For information about state laws and regulations and complaints regarding child care, contact your state Department of Health and Human Services, which should have a child care office in it, or contact your state Social Services Department. If you're a low-income working mother, you might qualify for financial aid to help with daycare, or there might be such a daycare center in your community run by the government for low-income and/or single working parents. If you live near a college or university, check to see if they have an on-site daycare service or a preschool program open to the public or students. It's easy to register as a student. Local government, service clubs, disability organizations, churches, and private donors may provide daycare, subsidies or scholarships. Child care protocols/set specific rules. Don't be too casual with the caregiver. Set specific rules. It's best to write them out and give them to her so she knows what's expected. Like a meal every 4 hours, 1 hour of fresh air, afternoon nap, rules for cleaning the child. Some parents don't want the caregiver to bathe or shower the child, an hour playing with the child, limits on watching TV, laundry and housekeeping duties, safety rules, don't leave the child unattended, don't use the phone for more than a 5-minute call per hour, etc. Be fair with your worker, especially if she's good, because it's hard to find good help. Don't make her work past her 40 hours a week, then not pay her for it. Pay time and a half because it's overtime. If she's good and spends more than 6 months with you, start giving her a week paid vacation every 5 months or so. People are human, so they need time to check each other out to get comfortable with each other. Allow for a slightly awkward adjustment period. After all, you're inviting her into your private life, and she's a bit nervous about imposing on this family she barely knows. Give her privacy, respect, and don't try to suck all the work you can out her. Be reasonable and the atmosphere will be a lot better. If you're too critical, most will quit in short order. Don't be soft with your caregiver. She has to earn your respect. If she's a lagger who just likes to watch TV, you don't have to keep her. Get somebody else. Don't accept chronic lateness, poor hygiene, antisocial behavior, someone too introverted who doesn't say much, someone who invades your space, an aggressive personality, jealousy. Parent and caregiver compete for child's affection and theft. Don't let a caregiver start to moralize to you that you're not a good enough parent who doesn't spend enough time with your kids. Beware of a situation where the babysitter likes the kids but doesn't like you. If your nanny lives in your house for longer than 6 months, give her a phone for her room. Let her friends come over and visit once in a while. As the nanny, don't let the parents push you to teach the child things that are well above his ability. As a nanny, don't take abuse from a bratty kid. You might have to buy medical insurance for your caregiver, and if she drives your car, you might have to buy extra insurance for her. Always have a backup caregiver ready in case this one skips on you. Some people don't feel comfortable with a live-in nanny or even one that comes into their house 8 hours a day. They feel their privacy is violated. In that case, either find a good daycare center, nursery school, or babysitter where you can drop the child off with them. This latter concept is called family home care, where the child is taken care of in someone else's private home, possibly with other kids around, which is a good family atmosphere. Some alternatives to childcare are: start a co-op with several other families where you each take turns watching each other's kids. If you work for a big company, there might be an on-site childcare service at the site, or you could start one. Change your work situation to do some of the work at home, often called telecommuting. If you can't find a good caregiver, contact your local YMCA or church group. Summer camp is a good way to catch a break from the kids. Some schools have after-school programs where the children stay in a daycare-like room until 6 o'clock or so, playing with toys, working on computers, reading books, etc., so that the parents can pick them up there. The IRS now has a $5,000 dependent care tax credit. Ask your accountant about it or call the IRS for information about the nanny tax bill. irs.gov, 800 tax form. Child Security Guide. The media has had a field day exposing abusive child care workers by catching them on hidden cameras. If your child is not old enough to speak yet, be especially wary of the caregiver you pick. In order to protect yourself from unscrupulous childcare workers who will act all good when you're around but ignore and otherwise abuse the children when you're not around. Either hire someone you know, hire a Christian, hire from a reputable agency that does background checks. Chapter 2. Some babysitters/nannies are good, some are bad. Keep an eye on the caregiver. The best way to check out a nanny is with a hidden camcorder or internet webcam. Anybody can act phony good up front. The true test is when they're alone with the child. If the child starts to act weird, withdrawn, watch out. Many horror stories have been caught on tape. Make unannounced visits from time to time. Hook up a visible webcam where the baby's crib is where you can check it anytime over the internet. Try to do some of your work at home here and there so you're around the house and can check out what the nanny's daily routine is with the kids. One case I saw on TV was this chubby middle-aged woman who became the caregiver of this couple's baby. She had a great manner with the couple face to face, but as soon as they left, she abused and ignored the baby who couldn't speak for himself. The mother got suspicious when she noticed her baby flinch and turn away whenever she moved towards him with her hands to feed him, pick him up, etc. This was because the worker was slapping the baby around. They put a hidden camera in and caught several instances of abuse. The worker was charged criminally but in the end didn't get any prison time, just probation, so it goes to show that the authorities don't seem to take child abuse by childcare workers all that seriously. Based on a TV show I saw about a guy whose business was to install hidden cameras in the homes of people who had babysitters, you're generally better off hiring somebody you know like a neighbor, friend, or relative. If you hire professional help, that is somebody you don't know, be wary that anyone can put on a good front. Look over your child's body from time to time for signs of abuse. Monitor his behavior to see if it changes. An abused child usually goes from happy and easygoing to sad and scared. If the child is getting sexual, he could be getting sexually abused by the caregiver. If the child gets sick a lot, it could be a psychosomatic disorder caused by the stress from the caregiver. Beyond using a hidden camera, you can tell if your child is being abused if he or she gets nervous just before you're about to leave and the babysitter about to come in and comes running to you very quickly when you come home to get away from the babysitter. Your babysitter will rummage through your house and important papers partially to be nosy and partially looking for small valuables to steal. This guy said at least half of all babysitters he did surveillance on did something wrong. Your best bet is to ask for references and call all the references the babysitter gives you to see what people say about her. Ask questions/do an interview. Interview the person, get a feel for them. Don't hire them if you sense anger, antisocial tendencies, too casual an attitude, etc. Questions to ask when hiring a nanny or considering a daycare center. Why do you want to be a nanny? Tell me about your home. What would you do if the child doesn't want to eat, cries, acts violent? Are you trained in first aid and CPR? Do you do housework? What are your rates? Are you flexible with respect to hours? Do you have references? How would you handle a sick child? What are your discipline methods? How do you handle a temper tantrum? What experience do you have with children? How do you think a child should be raised? What do you like to do in your spare time? What kind of relationship do you want with our family? Do you smoke? How were you raised? Can you drive? What is a typical day? Do you play outdoors? What about licensing? Is there a fire safety plan? What about safety? Even after you hire them, if you have a baby who can't talk, there's no accountability unless you put a hidden camera in the main room to watch the interaction when they're alone, not aware they're being filmed. Background check websites. adpro.com, agencyrecords.com, 800-777-6655, criminal, driver, work comp, etc. americanbackground.com, avert.com, background-us.com, 800-697-7189, badreferences.com, cdrominvestigations.com, 800-332-7999, choicepointonline.com, confi-chek.com, 800-821-7404, courtexpress.com, courtpcfct.com, Connecticut, corrections.com/links/inmate, criminalcourtsearch.com, criminalinfo.com, 800-973-5500, criminal, tenant history, data-trac.com, idocket.com, 800-566-7164, intellicorp.net, 888-946-8355, several Mid-North states, judici.com, juritas.com, 888-877-9695, knowthefacts.com, 888-777-9435, midsouthinfo.com, North Carolina, nationalbackgrounddata.com, nationalfraud.com, 800-999-5658, ncrecordsonline.com, 877-442-9600, North Carolina, onecreditsource.com, 800-955-1356, pfcinformation.com, 212-580-7077, background checks, publicrecordsources.com, rapsheets.com, researchinc.net, 800-654-4936, credit, criminal, tenant history, swcg-inc.com, 800-795-8543, court, criminal, usascreening.com, 800-568-5665, uscrimsearch.com, usmutual.com, 888-338-8762, verifax.com, 800-568-5665, criminal, tenant history, vitalcheck.com, 800-255-2414, American International Security, 10805 Main St. Number 600, Fairfax, Virginia 22030, 703-691-1110. Do a background check on a nanny. Care Check, Inc. 1056 Fifth Avenue, Number 9E, NYC 10028, 212-360-6640. Background checks. Childcare Registry, 3494 Camino Tasahara Road, Number 243, Danville, California 94506, 800 CCR 0033. Does background checks on nannies, daycares, etc. ERS Employers Reference Source, Marietta, GA, 800-800-3774. Background checks. Federal Bureau of Investigation FBI, Identification Division, 10th St. and Pennsylvania Ave, NW, Washington, D.C. 20535, FBI.gov. For a $20 fee, a cover letter and a copy of the nanny's fingerprints, you can get the FBI to do a fingerprint check on her. IBM ICU, 800 IBM 7914, IBM.com. Computer system where you set up a camera, and you can look at a room from another computer anywhere or even from the internet. Innovative personnel strategies. Napa, CA. 888-477-8378. Background checks. Mind Your Business, Inc. Maplewood, New Jersey. 888-869-2462. Background checks. Nanny check. 50 Broad St. Number 1600. NYC 10004. 800-206-3051. 212-742-0340. Video surveillance on nannies, background checks. Web camera on your children. These services will hook up cameras in daycare centers or anywhere else so you can watch your kids while you're at work over the internet. Kinderview.com. Toddlerwatch.com. WatchMeGrow.com. Chapter 3. Childcare Info. Childcare articles for parents and caregivers at verywellfamily.com/child-care-41573444. Free articles. Online playgroups/babysitting co-ops. OnlinePlaygroup.com. Playgroup directory includes more than 600 local neighborhood playgroups, babysitting co-ops, homeschool support groups, grandparents groups, nannies groups, parents groups, and clubs. Preschool Finder websites /find a preschool websites /preschool daycare websites. SavvyZource.com lists 55,000 preschools. ACSI.org, Association of Christian Schools, International, an organization of Christian preschools, elementary, secondary and post-secondary schools. Look on state and municipal government websites for a child care licensing office which will have a list of licensed daycare centers and preschools. child-care.findthebiest.com. Childcare.gov. Childcarecenter.us. childcarezrch.dhhs.nh.gov/mylicenseverification/search.aspx. Daycare.com. state.fl.us/childcare/provider. decal.ga.gov/provider/zrch/sitesearch.aspx. momtrusted.com. finddaycare.com. apps.del.wa.gov/check/checkcrch.aspx. jfs.ohio.gov/cdc/childcare.stm. daycarematch.com. 211childcare.org. abcdaycareonpreschool.com. babycenter.com/0_how-the-best-for-your-child_64548.bc. bluebirdpreschool.com/licensed-daycare-providers.html. brighthorizons.com/child-care-locator. care.com/child-care. childcare.gov. childcare.org. childcareonpreschool.com. childcareaware.org. childcarecenter.us. childcarejacksonvillenc.com. childcarelink.com. childcaresmiles.com/day-care-preschool.aspx. cjebaltimore.org/preschool-finder. creativekidslearning-center.com/preschool-loss-vegas/preschool-finder-loss-vegas. creativeworldschool.com. daycare.com. daycareatos.com. daycarecafe.com. daycarematch.com. dfps.state.tx.us/child_care/search_text_child_care/cca/ppserchhtx-childcare2. dfps.state.tx.us/child_care/search_texas_child_care/pp facility search daycare.asp. education.com/question/kindergarten-pre. education.com/schoolfinder/us/hawaii/preschools. education.com/schoolfinder/us/texas/preschools. findingpreschool.com, ccvillage.com, godaycare.com/finddaycare, godaycare.com/local daycares, greatschools.org/find-your-ideal/1102-best-preschool-for-your-child.gs, greatschools.org/preschool, in.gov/fsss/carefinder, kidsparkz.com/preschoolsingsmain.html, kidswithfoodallergies.org/resourcespre.php, kidsschoolfinder.com, kindercare.com, learnforgood.com/schools/preschools_childcare_daycare_services.htm, looking4daycare.html, looking4daycare.com/findpreschool.html, looking4daycare.com/searchdaycarelistings.html, mdchildcare.org/mdcfc/childcare/choose.html, metrodaycare.com, momtrusted.com, newjersey-preschool.com, peanutgallerychildcare.com/about-us/r-preschool/admissions, phoenixdaycare.com, prekSmarties.com/preschool directory, preschooldirectory.co.uk, preschool-program.com, preschoolwestchasetourney.com, qualistar.org/find-child-care.html, readyztmom.com/childcare, savvyzource.com/preschools, searchpreschools.com, aol@schoolsearch.com/elementary. Chapter 4. Places to hire daycare service. Butler info. If you're in pretty good shape, you don't need a medical home care worker. Hire a personal assistant instead. If there are no butlers or personal assistants around in your neck of the woods, contact a home care company and hire one of their home care workers to help you around the house. ButlerIntl.com, Butler International, ButlersGuild.com, eHow.com, article How to Hire a Butler, HeadButler.com, MagnumsButlers.com, ModernButlers.com, The Butler Did It EliteServices.com, Sarasota, FL, ButlerWebs.com, Best Domestic Services Agency, 877-770-2273. Daycare info. Despite all the bad press about daycare, most are pretty good, but the bottom line is that you're shopping for a service, and just like with anything, you have to compare and check things out. Once you hire the service, don't leave it at that. There are licensing procedures in many areas. And some daycares have webcams where you can look in anytime over the internet. Stay constantly vigilant about the performance of your caregiver. The best way is to drop in unannounced from time to time. It's your right. In my opinion, the best daycares are the ones with structured programs that actually try to teach the children something rather than just playing with them, then feeding them and giving them naps. The bottom line is that you have to feel them out to find someone that really cares about your child. The general research says that it's bad to put any child under 3 into any kind of full-time alternative care, because the child will bond with that caregiver and not you, the parent. After 3 is alright, but you have to develop the mother-child bond first. Daycare is good for children because it helps make them independent and socialize with other kids. Some kids really like it because it's a fun place with toys and new friends, whereas others are more shy and solitary and don't really go for it. You, as a parent, must decide what's best. If your child has poor health, be wary that Daycares could be breeding grounds for viruses, hepatitis, etc. because of all the other kids around that could be sick or carrying viruses. The Federal Intra-Agency Daycare requirements list a number of standards a daycare center should abide by, but the only true test is gut instinct and common sense. Check a place out for safety, child provider ratio and all-around character. If it feels right, try it for a while and drop in unannounced every few days to see what's really going on. Try to become friends with your caregiver. Some YMCAs have daycare facilities. ymca.net, ymca.org, ywca.org. You might find books about daycare/babysitting at number 362.712 or HQ 778.6 and HV861 at your library. Doula info. A doula helps the mother with rearing a newborn baby for about the first year after birth. Doulas technically don't actually do the birthing part, which is generally the job of the midwife. Check the yellow pages under birth centers. acnm.org, American College of Nurse Midwives, 202-728-9860. mayaseaschools.org, Midwifery Education Accreditation Council, 928-214-0997. DONA.org, Doulas of North America, 888-788 DONA. Childbirth.org/doula123.html. CommunityDoula.org. Dona.com, 888-788 DONA, Doulas of North America. PALS-DOULAS.org, Pacific Association for Labor Support. Association of Labor Assistance and Childbirth Educators. Box 390436. Cambridge, Massachusetts 01239. 888-222-5223. ALACEHQAOL.com. Trains doulas and childbirth educators. Doula. POB 71. Santa Cruz, California 95063. 408-464-9488. Support for pregnant mothers. Doulas of North America. 1100 23rd Avenue East, Seattle, Washington 98112. 888-788 DONA. 206-324-5440. 206-325-1419. AskDonaAOL.com. Dona.com. National Association of Postpartum Care SVCs. 800 Detroit St. Denver, Colorado 80206. 800-45 Doula. Fax 303-321-4058. doulacare.aol.com. napcs.org. Accredits and licenses doulas. Chapter 5. Find a local babysitter. Hire a trustworthy babysitter. Do a background check on one of them free public records websites like freerecordsregistry.com, staterecords.org, governmentregistry.com, onlinepublicrecordssearch.com, public-records.therecordshub.com, gov-resources.com, freerecordsregistry.com, systems.net, worldwide. brbpub.com/pubrexites.asp. Other than that, put up a hidden camera to see what the babysitter does, especially if the child is too young to speak. Give the babysitter the following info: your cell phone number, where you'll be, family members or friends to contact in case of emergency. Emergency numbers, hospital, doctor, poison control. Any special info about your kid's medical needs. Food. Bedtime info. 4sit-r-s.com/ask-baby-question-sitter.html articlesbase.com/babies-articles/how-to-hire-a-babysitter-32561.html babycenter.com/0_finding-a-babysitter_50.bc babysitter.lifetips.com babysittingworld.com ehow.com, how to hire a babysitter findinganany.com hirebabysitter.com livespy.com/2007/how-to-hire-a-babysitter metroplex-baby.com/parent-guides/hiring-babysitter.htm parentdish.com/2006/05/17/how-do-you-hire-a-babysitter safesitter.org/parents/parents-hiring-sitter.htm sitter.cy.ty.net/info/find-a-babysitter-service.htm sittercityreview.com swellpregnancyguide.com/hiring-a-babysitter wegowild.com/babysitter.html, how to hire the right babysitter wikihow.com/choose-a-good-babysitter hire a male babysitter. They say males are good because they're more attentive than the typical teenage girl, but young males are curious. If you have a young girl, chances are that they're going to want to look at her privates. There was a case of some guy babysitting a baby girl. The mother caught him because he took some pictures with their digital camera, but he didn't know how to erase them. You can't really discriminate. Individuals are either good or evil. It's not a gender thing. babysitters.sittercity.com/blog/male-babysitters, male babysitters, to hire or not to hire. suzyj.com/index.php/i-hire-male-babysitters. Local babysitting services. Look at classified ads websites like Craigslist.org for people offering babysitting services. Your best bet is to put up your own ad at your church, Craigslist.org, or the bulletin board at the library and say you're looking for a student who wants to babysit occasionally. Keep it close to where you live. Sometimes talking to the neighbors and asking if anyone has a teenager who wants a part-time job is enough. You could even hire a senior citizen. Kijiji.ca, classified ads in Canada. nannysoncall.com babysitters4hire.com domesticpublications.com, Los Angeles area. babysittingworld.com sitter-city.net babysitterconnections.com babysitting websites sittercity.com 4sitters.com babysitternow.com babysitters.com Craigslist.org/kid phoneababysitter.com fee sitters.com toybabycenter.com/babysitter kijiji.ca classified ads in Canada nannysoncall.com babysitters4hire.com domesticpublications.com Los Angeles area babysittingworld.com sitter-city.net babysitterconnections.com teen babysitting websites at dmoz-odp.org/kids_and_teens/teen_life/babysitting subcategories courses safety tips abcteach.com/directory/fun-activities-11-2-1, ABC Babysit offers free printable information forms, activities, and crafts projects. extension.illinois.edu/babysitting, a guide to the business of babysitting, a guide for teenagers, age 14 to 19, on how to successfully run a babysitting business. kidshealth.org/en/teens/babysit.html, babysitting basics, advice on taking responsibility including a list of rules about what to prepare and expect.